ॐ नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। ॐ नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। ॐ नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। नारायणं नमस्कृत्य नरं चैव नरोत्तमं देवीं सरस्वतीं व्यासं ततो जयमुदीरये। नष्टप्रायेषु अभद्रेषु नित्यं भागवत सेवया भगवतीरुत्तमश्लोके भक्तिर्भवति नैष्टिके। ॐ अज्ञानतिमिरन्धस्य ज्ञानाञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मिलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। श्रीचैतन्यमनोभीष्टं स्थापितं येन भूतले स्वयं रूपकदा मह्यं ददाति स्वपदान्तिकम्। नमो विष्णुपादाय कृष्णप्रेष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदान्त स्वामीनिति नामिने। नमस्ते सरस्वते देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेष शून्यवादी पाश्चात्यदेशतारिणे। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्त वृंद। हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे हरे। हरे राम 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 हरे हरे। Hare Krishna. Reading from Srimad Bhagavatam. By His divine grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. We are reading from Canto 4, Chapter 25, the characteristics of King Puranjan. So we are at text 40. पितृदेवर्षिमर्त्यानां भूतानाम् आत्मचेचः क्षम्यं वदन्ति शरणं भवेस्मिन् यद्गृहाश्रमः. Translation.
The woman continued, according to authorities, the householder life is pleasing, not only to oneself, but to all the forefathers, demigods, great sages, saintly persons, and everyone else. A householder life is thus beneficial. Purport. According to the Vedic system, when one is born in this material world, he has many obligations. He has obligations to the demigods of the sun and moon, King Indra, Varuna, etc., because they are supplying the necessities of life. We receive heat, light, water, and all other natural amenities through the mercy of the demigods. We are also indebted to our forefathers who have given us these bodies, paternal property, intelligence, society, friendship, and love. Similarly, we are indebted to the general public for politics and sociology. And we are also indebted to lower animals such as horses, cows, asses, dogs, and cats. In this way, as soon as one is born in this material world as a human being, he has so many obligations and is bound to repay all these obligations. If he does not repay them, he is further entangled in the process of birth and death. The Grahamedi, however, who is overly addicted to material things, does not know that if he simply takes shelter at the lotus feet of Mukunda, he is immediately freed from all obligations to others. Unfortunately, a Grahamedi does not have any interest in Krishna consciousness. Prahlad Maharaj says, मतीर मतीरन कृष्णे परतः स्वतो वा मितो अभिपद्येत गृहव्रतानाम. Bhagavatam 7.5.30. A Grhavata is the same as Grahamedi. One who takes sex life to be supreme finds action in Krishna consciousness confusing, either due to his own personal consideration or due to his having taken instructions from others or conferring with them. He becomes addicted to sensual indulgence and cannot act in Krishna consciousness. Hare Krishna.
So the woman continued that according to authorities, Grihashrama is beneficial not just to oneself, but also to Pitru Devarshi Martyana, also to the forefathers, demigods, great sages, and saintly person, and everyone else. In the purport, Srila Prabhupada explains that as soon as one takes the birth in the human form of life, one is indebted. Devarshi Bhutapta Nranam Pitrunam. You know that we are indebted to so many personalities. We are indebted to the Gotra Rishi, we are indebted to the Deva Rishi, then to the great demigods who are controlling, the sun and the moon, Indra, Chandra, Varuna, Vayu, Adi. We are indebted to the forefathers, our parents, then forefathers, for giving us the body, right? The personal property and everything else. To general public, the politics and the society. Just imagine that, that 300 Karyakartas, they died in West Bengal to get BJP in the power in last 10 years. So all that good is going to happen on the strength of these 300 people who, sacrificed their own life for the party politics. Yesterday, Draupadi Murmu was felicitating one, the posthumous Kirti Chakra to one army officer Janjad, and his mother and wife. They just broke down when she was just felicitating that Kirti Chakra. And Honorable President ji also, she just keeping all other etiquettes aside, she just consoled both of them. Then we are indebted to the lower animals, right? Horses, cows, simply by paying some promissory note, one cannot purchase. To dogs, recently I saw a beautiful picture of a dog. He was in charge of the entire security of Vitthal Mandir in Pandharpur. Just imagine, I mean, when the dog is sniffing for the possible dynamite or something like that, and if it explodes, what is the risk that the dog is taking? So, human life is a life of being indebted, and therefore, here one has to repay all one's obligations. But the beauty of Krishna consciousness is such that as soon as one becomes devotee of the Supreme Lord, what happens is you are watering the root of the tree. Yatha taror moola nishechanena. Because we are watering the root of the tree, all other karja is automatically taken care spiritually, right? So that doesn't mean that we are ungrateful to all these personalities. But the point here is that when one becomes devotee, and therefore Krishna Mati is very important. But in the life of a Grahamedi, this Matirna Krishna, Paratasvato, by one's own understanding or by instructions from other, their Mati will never come to Krishna, and therefore such people are condemned by Prahlad Maharaj in Srimad Bhagavatam. Text 41. Ka nama veda vikyatam vadanyam priyadarshanam न वृणीत प्रियं प्राप्तं मादृशी तादृशं पतिम्. Translation.
Translation, O my dear hero, who in this world will not accept a husband like you? You are so famous, so magnanimous, so beautiful, and so easily gotten. Purport, every husband is certainly a great hero to his wife. In other words, if a woman loves a man, that man appears very beautiful and magnanimous. Unless one becomes beautiful in the eyes of another, one cannot dedicate his whole life to another. The husband is considered very magnanimous because he gives as many children to the wife as she likes. Every woman is fond of children. Therefore, any husband who can please his wife by sensual and give her children is considered very magnanimous. Not only does the husband become magnanimous by begetting children, but by giving his wife ornaments, nice food, and dresses, he keeps her completely under submission. Such a satisfied wife will never give up the company of her husband. Manu Samhita recommends that to keep a wife satisfied, a husband should give her some ornament because women are generally fond of home, ornaments, dresses, children, etc. In this way, the woman is the center of all material enjoyment. In this regard, the word Vikyatam is very significant. A man is always famous for his aggression toward a beautiful woman, and such aggression is sometimes considered rape. Although rape is not legally allowed, it is a fact that a woman likes a man who is very expert at rape. Hare Krishna.
Ka nama veera vikyatam. She is saying that, oh my great hero, vadanyam priyadarshanam, who will not choose a personality like you? Na pranita priyam praptam madrushi tadrusham patim. Who is so famous, magnanimous, beautiful, and very easily gotten. In the purport, Srila Prabhupada explains that every husband is certainly a great hero to his wife, and vice versa. Okay, every wife should be a great heroine to one's husband. And of course, the general mood of Srimad Bhagavatam is Vairagya, and it goes in the naturally flows in the context of Vairagya. But the point is, husband wife getting attracted to each other at the time of one's marriage, and then that continued attraction throughout their life at other places in Bhagavatam is also very highly glorified. So, this now the context here is the husband was maintaining the wife. That is the context. Now things have considerably changed in last 60 years. Yesterday there was a quote by Modi, Lalit Modi, about something else. He was speaking on very same topic, different idea altogether. But the point here is that the husband and wife should get attracted to each other. It's very important, and they should feel they are the hero, and the heroine, like that. And just parasparam bhavayanto, by mutually satisfying with each other, one should happily continue the grihastha. It is very important. Stable grihastha only can give rise to the stable progeny and the great leadership. Otherwise, the Western world is looking at a very stark reality that almost 70% of the children born now are raised you know, either of the because of the situations, because of the extreme westernized ideas. So here it is. One is considered to be, so she is very happily accepting this personality. Okay. Vikyatam, very, very famous. So this is text 42. कस्यामनस्ते भुवि भोगभोगयो स्त्रियान् सज्जे जयोर्महाभुज यो नाथ वर्गाधिमलं गृणोदत स्मितावलोकेन चरन्ति अपोहितुम्. Translation.
O mighty arm, who in this world will not be attracted by your arms, which are just like the bodies of serpents. Actually, you relieve the distress of husbandless woman like us by your attractive smile and your aggressive mercy. We think that you are traveling on the surface of the earth just to benefit us only. Purport: when a husbandless woman is attacked by an aggressive man, she takes his action to be mercy. A woman is generally very much attracted by a man's long arms. A serpent's body is round and it becomes narrower and thinner at the end. The beautiful arms of a man appear to a woman just like serpents, and she very much desires to be embraced by such arms. The word Anatha Varga is very significant in this verse. Nath means husband, and a means without a young woman who has no husband is called Anatha, meaning one who is not protected. As soon as a woman attains the age of puberty, she immediately becomes very much agitated by sensual desire. It is therefore the duty of the father to get his daughter married before she attains puberty. Otherwise, she will be very much mortified by not having a husband. Anyone who satisfies her desire for sensual gratification at that age becomes a great object of satisfaction. It is a psychological fact that when a woman at the age of puberty meets a man and the man satisfies her sensually, she will love that man for the rest of her life, regardless who he is. The so-called love within this material world is nothing but sensual satisfaction.
So now, here she is saying that, O mighty armed one, Mahabahu, that your hands, your long arms are appearing like the bodies of the serpent, and you can surely release me from the distress. So now this is in a way, a very, sometimes in the scriptures, there will be, because scriptures deal with everything, these are there is a dialogue of, these kind of dialogues will come at many places, even in Chaitanya Charitamrita, when there is this prostitute is approaching Namacharya Haridas Thakur, she is describing that you are young, I am young, why not to enjoy? And so one has to understand the context in which this particular, the whole thing is coming in. Okay, right? In the purport, Srila Prabhupada explains that basically how important it is to be aware of the psychological needs at different life stages. Whereas they very systematically develop, the philosophy which is called as Panchakosha. So Panchakosha means there is the first kosha is Annamaya Kosh, then there is Manomaya Kosh, then there is a Pranamaya Kosh, then there is Vijnanamaya Kosh, and then there is Anandamaya Kosh. And a particular developmental act, that is the particular the food to all the body and the senses and the mind, should be given according to the particular stage one is in. Right? Otherwise, the things become very difficult. And here there is a description of the particularly the girl at the age, and how actually we are just talking about the even Bhagavatam purport and Bhagavatam shloka in a strong words. Sometimes they talk certain things, but this is what the modern psychology is also describing, right? That need of the particular age should be satisfied with suitable ingredients at that particular age appropriate. Excessive delay, in certain things is not recommended. So whenever we are reading, we are always aware that we are reading midst the family, and not that any connotation is taken. Also, the children are around, and therefore we utilize certain words, avoid certain words to speak and speak loudly, and certain discussions also. I hope everybody is in sync with. Text 43. नारद उवाच इति तौ दम्पती तत्र समुद्य समयं मिथः तां प्रविश्य पुरीं राजन् मुमुदाते शतं समाः. Translation.
Translation. The great sage Narada continued, "My dear king, those two, the man and woman, supporting one another through mutual understanding, entered that city and enjoyed life for 100 years. Purport: 100 years is significant in this connection because every human being is given the concession to live up to 100 years. The span of life is different on different planets according to the planet's distance from the sun. In other words, 100 years on this planet is different from 100 years on another planet. Lord Brahma lives for 100 years according to time on the Brahmaloka planet, but 1 day of Brahma is equal to millions of years on this planet. Similarly, days on the heavenly planets are equal to 6 months on this planet. On every planet, however, the span of life for a human being is roughly 100 years. According to the lifespans on different planets, the standards of living also differ. Hare Krishna.
So mutually agreeing, ititau dampati tatra samudya samayam mitha. They both of them, they entered the city. Which city? Which are both the living entity, Jiva, Puranjana, and intelligence, right? They entered the city. Which is that city? The city of 9 gates, that is Navadvare Pure Dehi. And Tam Pravishya Purim Rajan Udate Mamudate Shatam Sama. That for 100 full years they enjoyed that city. In the purport, Srila Prabhupada explains that the 100 years, Shatam Sama, is different on different planets. Okay, what is a year? Year means for Earth to circumambulate the sun fully, that is 1 year. And different planets will do that, even according to modern science, will do that differently, different time span, and therefore the span of 1 year will be vastly different. Like Brihaspati, it takes around 12 years to complete one rotation. It will be 12 solar years, 12 earthly years will be 1 year at Brihaspati. And similarly, the life of Brahmaji, which is like, huge span. But from Brahma's perspective, Brahma is living for only 100 years. Right? Text 44. उपगीयमानो ललितं तत्र तत्र च गायकैः क्रीडन् परिवृतस्त्रिभिर्हृदिम्निम् आविशं शुचोः. Translation.
Many professional singers used to sing about the glories of King Puranjana and his glorious activities. When it was too hot in the summer, he used to enter a reservoir of water. He would surround himself with many women and enjoy their company. Purport. A living being has different activities in different stages of life. One stage is called Jagrata, or the life of awakening, and another is called Swapna, or the life of dream. Another stage is called Sushupti, or the life in unconscious state, and still another stage occurs after death. In the previous verse of life of awakening was described. In the previous verse, the life of awakening was described. That is, the man and the woman were married and enjoyed life for 100 years. In this verse, the life in the dream state is described. For the activities Puranjana accomplished during the day were also reflected at night in the dream state. Puranjana used to live with his wife for sense enjoyment, and at night this very sense enjoyment was appreciated in different ways. A man sleeps very soundly when he is greatly fatigued. And when a rich man is greatly fatigued, he goes to his garden house with many female friends and there enters the water and enjoys their company. Such is the tendency of living entity within this material world. A living entity is never satisfied with a woman unless he is trained in the system of brahmacharya. Generally, a man's tendency is to enjoy many women, and even at the very end of life, the sense gratification impulse is so strong that even though one is very old, he still wants to enjoy the company of young girls. Thus, because of strong sense gratificatory impulse, the living entity becomes more and more involved in this material world. Thank you, Prabhu.
Yeah. So now this is how the living entity, the many professional singers used to sing about the glories of King Puranjana. And when he is fatigued, he used to enter water with enjoying a lot of other company. In the purport, Srila Prabhupada explains that there are different stages, Jagrati, Swapna, Sushupti. And all these stages, the living entity is acting differently. So the living being acts differently in the different stages, just like he's acting differently when he's awake and he's acting differently when he's sleeping. So although when somebody is sleeping, it appears that he's sleeping, but the point is that while sleeping, he's Swapna, and within Swapna, he's active and he's having some different enjoyment within Swapna or a different misery within Swapna. And this is how the living entity is constantly acting. And one of the greatest act of living entity is Bhoga Ichha. And therefore, he is trying to enjoy a company, right, of the opposite gender as much as possible. And Prabhupada writes here, generally it is, he wants to just enjoy because he is grasping for the spiritual enjoyment, and because he's not getting the adiras, that is the spiritual enjoyment, he's trying to find this adiras, which is the perverted platform in the sensual enjoyment. And therefore, even at a very old age, unless the person is not very well trained in brahmacharya, there is always a tendency. And all our, the great heroes, Veera, they are being mentioned here. They are a testimony to this, right? Elon Musk has around 10 known wives and many unknown. And he is very frank about it. Same is with Trump. That Epstein files, how many times his name has come. And he is so frank about it. Frank is a very soft, milder word. And same is with Bill Gates, right? We just type why the wife of Bill Gates divorced him after 30 years of very happy married life. You will enter a different planet altogether. So Prabhupada writes, even in the very old age, he still wants to enjoy unless one is very well trained in brahmacharya, in the the spiritual system, and one is looking for some spiritual aspirations. So therefore, one has to be always aware of this energy of the Supreme Lord, which has the potency to bewilder anybody and everybody at any age, irrespective of one's, the low high position in the material world. Text 45. Saptopari कृता द्वारः पुरस्तस्यात्तु द्वे अधः पृथग्नि विषयस्तर्थ्यं तस्यां यः कश्चनेश्वरः. Translation.
Of the 9 gates in that city, 7 were on the surface and 2 were subterranean. A total of the 9 doors were constructed, and these led to different places. All the gates were used by the city's government. Purpose. The 7 gates of the body that are situated upward are the 2 eyes, 2 nostrils, 2 ears, and 1 mouth. The 2 subterranean gates are the rectum and the genitals. The king or the ruler of the body, who is the living entity, uses all these doors to enjoy different types of material pleasures. The system of opening different gates to different places is still evident in old Indian cities. Formerly, the capital was surrounded by walls, and one passed through the various gates to go to the various cities or toward specific directions. In Old Delhi, there are still remnants of surrounding walls and various gates known as the Kashmiri Gate, the Lahori Gate, etc. Similarly, in Ahmedabad, there is a Delhi Gate. The point of this smile is that the living entity wants to enjoy different types of material opulences, and to this end, nature has given him various holes in his body that he can utilize for sense enjoyment.
Yeah. So while residing in the city of 9 gates, the gates are being described here 7 plus 2. And the 7 gates were on the surface, the 2 gates were subterranean, and this is how the city's governor enjoyed the city through all the 9 gates. In the purport, Srila Prabhupada explains that the 5 gates are there on the surface, that is literally on the face, and 2 gates on the lower parts, and every city, especially the olden times, every city was known as Pura. Even up to Singapore is known as Pur, and there is a Simha. So the name of the Singapore was Simhapur previously, and their national emblem is also Simha, and is also city and Simhapur, right? So it became Singapore. And there are gates, and every city will have different gates towards a particular destination or towards a particular city. Like Pune has Swar Gate, Pool Gate, right? And so many. So similarly, Prabhupada writes, Delhi has Kashmiri Gate, Ahmedabad has Delhi Gate, so on and so forth. And therefore, Navadware Pure Dehi, and Pura having gates. And this is how the beautiful analogy Narada Muni is describing to Maharaj Prachinabari. Text 46. Panchadvarastu paurastya dakshinayika tathottara paschime dve amushate namani nrupavarnaye. Translation.
My dear king, of the 9 doors, 5 led toward the eastern side, 1 led toward the northern side, 1 led toward the southern side, and 2 led toward the western side. I shall try to give the names of these different doors. Purport. Of the 7 doors on the surface, namely the 2 eyes, 2 ears, 2 nostrils, and 1 mouth, 5 look forward, and these are described as the doors facing the eastern side, since looking forward means seeing the sun. These are described as the eastern gates, for the sun rises in the east. The gate on the northern side and the gate on the southern side represent the 2 ears, and the 2 gates facing the western side represent the rectum and the genitals. All the doors and gates are described below.
So now there is further description of the gates are being described. Text. Yeah. So we will conclude here and continue tomorrow. श्रील प्रभुपाद की जय,
जय।
गौर भक्त वृंद की जय। थैंक यू
जय।
प्रभुपाद, थैंक यू
Thank you,
everybody.
Prabhupada. Thank you,
Prabhupada,
Prabhupada.
thank you, Prabhuji, Hare
Thank you,
Krishna.
Prabhupada. Thank you, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
Thank you,
Jai.
Prabhu. Thank you, Prabhupada. Hare
Hare
Krishna.
Krishna.
Thank you, Prabhupada. Thank you, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
Prabhupada. Thank you, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Prabhupada. Thank you, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, everyone. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Prabhupada. Thank you, Prabhuji. Thank you, everyone. Hare Krishna.